That was after that year in 2013. In the very beginning of the year, like around January or February, I had another dream, another rapture dream. But this one was a little bit different. It's a little more emotional. It's a little more exciting. How we was chilling outside with a couple of friends of mine, like outside of a bar or somewhere. We were having some drinks, having a good time. And then all of a sudden I see, like, in the distance in the sky, these black dots, and they had like wings on them. And at first I was like, what is that? I didn't realize what it was. But it's like my subconscious mind kicked in, and I knew that it was the rapture again. Like, I knew I had dreamt it before for some reason. I was like, oh, okay. But hopefully I make it this time. I remember thinking to myself, hopefully I make it this time. Because in all my other dreams, which was a lot of them, I never make it. I always go towards heaven, but then I always fall back down. Well, in this dream, I start to rise towards heaven. And I remember thinking, oh, please, please let me make it. Please let me make it. I don't want to fall this time. I want to make it. And I actually do. I make it. I go to heaven. And I pass like this little level, this little layer of cloud. It was like this little thin, flat layer of cloud. It was smooth, smooth, smooth. And I pass it through, and I'm in heaven all of a sudden, and I look all around. There's nobody there, and I don't see nothing. It's like as far as you can see out, like a horizon almost. Like it's nothing but cloud, that flat layer of cloud. And then I remember I turned around, and I see in the distance somebody sitting on a throne. And I knew exactly who it was. And as soon as I saw him, I knew who he was. And I was just thinking, oh my God, is that really him? Like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And all of a sudden I feel myself start to float and start, like float and like drift towards him. And I start to get closer and closer, and I see his face so close. I get so close to him to where we're like face to face. I mean, so close. His eyes and his nose are like right up against mine. It's like all I could see was his eyes and his nose against my face. But it wasn't a clear image though. Like they say, nobody has seen God before, I think that's why maybe my image wasn't so clear. It was like almost whenever your cable goes out and it's like a buzzy, blurry image. It's a fuzzy image when it's like black and white, like how it looks when your cable goes out. You can see the outline, but you can't really see clear the details of the face. That's how it looked. I could see the outline of his long hair, and he was just sitting there, and he was so bold and so majestic, just sitting there and just staring straight ahead. And he looked so powerful. Like, I just can't even describe the feeling of being in front of so much power. Like, I could feel it. It felt so real to be next to God. It was such an amazing feeling. Like, oh God, I wish somebody could see. I wish I could show y'all what I saw. It was so amazing. And I remember he told me, he was like, you can't stay, you gotta go back. And I remember thinking, no, please, I don't want to go back, I want to stay. But he said, but he didn't speak with his mouth though. He told me like with his mind, like telepathically or something like that, I don't know. But he didn't use his lips. I remember he told me, he was like, look, you gotta go back, and I have a message for everybody, and I need you to go tell them this. And I was like, okay, whatever you say, I'll go do it. Whatever you say, I'll do it. I was pleased to be his messenger, And he said, go back and tell everybody that whenever they do something, to do it not just because they expect something in return, or not just because like they have to. Do it because you want to, like do it because you want to help that person. Like, don't just have good actions, but have good thoughts, good intentions, good heart, And I was like, okay, I'll go back, I'll tell everybody. And so all of a sudden I appear in the same place I was before I went, where all my friends were. They all drinking and have a good time. It was like I never left. And I'm like, man, like I'm telling everybody, y'all ain't gonna believe what just happened. Like, I gotta tell y'all, like, he's amazing. Y'all not gonna believe me. And I'm telling them, and they're like, you lying. Like, we don't believe you. Like, they didn't believe what I was saying. It was like, how you was just here? That's impossible. And I'm like, no, I swear, like, y'all gotta believe me. And so, like, as I'm explaining myself to them, I look over, and there's a man sitting by himself. He was like Middle Eastern descent, like Arabic man or something like that. And he's just looking at me with like this look of hate in his eyes, like he wanted to kill me, like he hated me, like he knew me personally, and he had a good reason to hate me. He wanted to kill me. And I'm just looking over, and I'm like, I just stop in my, in the middle of my story, and I'm like, what, you don't believe me either? And he's got his arms folded. He's like all serious, and he looks at me, and he goes, he just shook his head no. He's like, and I was like, you don't believe anything, do you? I don't know why I told him this, but this is what I told him. I was like, you don't believe in anything, do you? And he shook his head no again. And I was a little disturbed by it, but then I went up to go do something. Like, my friends had asked me to go get something. I don't know. I remember getting up and leaving, and when I turned around to go back, he shot me. I remember he shot me right here on my shoulder, and a friend of mine was in the ambulance with me all of a sudden. We were rushing to the hospital, and that's when I woke up. And when I woke up from this dream, I was so emotionally and spiritually moved. I was shaking and in tears, and I felt scared almost. I felt the fear of the Lord in me. Like, I felt his presence all around me when I woke up. It was just amazing. And I needed to share this with y'all because I know God has a purpose for me. And I know I've messed up, and I've gone to the Lord. I've, turned my life over to him. And then I went back to the same old stuff. And then I go back to him and go back to the same old stuff. But this time I'm going to try and stay right, because I know he's got a purpose for me. And I know he wants me to get his word out there, because I know he wants me to convince everybody that he's here. He's real, he exists, and he's coming back for his people. And I know my purpose is to get as many people back on his side as possible. And I just want to share my spiritual experiences with y'all, so that y'all see that it's real. These dreams that I'm having, I've had for a long time now. Some of them are insignificant. Some of them have a lot of spiritual significance, like the one I just described to y'all. But they're here for a reason. My dreams, they're there for a reason, and I know I have a purpose, and I'm just trying to fulfill my purpose, y'all. I'm not trying to cause no panic. I'm not trying to scare nobody, but I just want everybody to know that God is blessing me, and I just want to share it with y'all. That's all I want to do, is share it with y'all, so that y'all can find it in your hearts to look for him, and get close with him just like I am. But that was my dream, y'all, and I hope y'all got something out of it. God bless y'all, and good night.